Hi, I'm Doug Simon at the PR News Social Media Summit, and my next guest, Serena Ehrlich, is so ahead of the curve, so technologically savvy, that she actually owns the Twitter handle at Serena. So much for you tennis stars. Anyway, it's right here where it's happening. Serena Ehrlich, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
Great. Now, you're presenting
I
at
am.
the conference, so tell us about what you'll be talking about.
Well, I'm going to be talking about how PR people can utilize some of the more less known platforms like G+, Reddit, and Tumblr for social marketing programs.
Right. Now, one of the things I'm seeing and even hearing today, tremendous focus on all these new platforms, all these new ways to communicate and engage, but not as much on how you create good content. And are we just entering an age where people are just shoving stuff out all different ways and avoiding the content? And how do we get back to good content?
It's my favorite topic ever, and you're exactly right. We're really in an issue right now where brands know that content converts, so they're creating content, but what's happening is that they're creating very generic content. And the truth is, you really have to become very highly specific. It's about concentric circles. It's about creating content for very tiny, powerful audiences and letting those audiences take your content outward for you and introduce it to their audiences, because content that is brand created but shared by a third party is really the most influential content out there. So it's about creating content. It's about really listening and knowing what your audience is interested in and what their pain points are. I heard a great line the other day that it's really not about user experience, but rather user expectations. So knowing what your customers' expectations are of your brand and creating content to help them meet their expectations in very specific small circles is really how companies are winning.
Right. Now, in the old days, say 6 months ago, a lot of that was getting journalists to distribute your content. Now people who are, quote, influencers, but really they're just small J journalists with their own following. So how do we get the good content? Do we still need to make the content good enough that they'll want to share and engage with it?
And that's really, again, it goes back to understanding your audience. And you're exactly right. Move past your top tier influencers and start looking at what you might consider to be second tier influencers. They tend to actually have more impact on your brand. And so understanding what they're sharing with their customers and what content excites those influencers and giving them that content will work really well. So if you have an influencer and you're trying to sell a computer and you have an influencer that talks about computers all the time, but they really are talking about the way keyboards are laid out, create content regarding keyboards for computers and give it to them. So really understand what their sticking points are and create content just for that. And then the other thing about where to find content is we always tell clients to do content assets, do an asset audit inside a house, right? There's content everywhere that can be broken up in a million different ways.
Yeah, at DS Simon, we've been doing the same because people are like, oh my God, video costs so much, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you often have incredible amount of video content in your archives that is value, especially as anniversaries are approaching.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And working with a company like yours to take that existing content and break it up into new ways is much less expensive than creating brand new content, and gives your own content second life, and it helps you sustain and deliver that initial message that you sent out with the first time you put that content out there.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to your presentation. Thanks so much for being with us.
It was really wonderful to be here. Official handshake? Yes. Bye, guys.